Aloha and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on This Is Now. I'm Dylan Ancheta alongside our Ashley Nagaoka. This just in, the family of an 11-year-old boy who was fatally shot at a Boy Scout camp on Hawaii Island is calling for justice.
That's right. The attorney for Manny Carvalho's family has been trying to get the police records, and subpoenas have been served to HPD, but the county's counsel has rejected those requests. Today, the two sides were in court.
And the difficulty we're having, Your Honor, is the Carvalhos want justice pursued both on the criminal side and on the civil side, Your Honor. We've been trying to investigate this without the benefit of the most critical evidence available. What was seen, heard, and said, the who, what, why, when, and how that the police were able to uncover and find out on August 28, 2022 at Camp Honoka'ia. 911 call records, what was said to the 911 dispatchers by the multiple people who called that day when Manny Carvalho got shot? What was said to the police when they were wearing, police wear body-worn camera? We want to see that. We want to hear that. We need to find out what happened. How could this atrocity happen in this way to this 11-year-old boy? And who has the most critical information for that? The police department. Nothing can bring Manny back to them, and the only reasonable thing that they can do on their own is to pursue civil action against the responsible parties. And without these police reports to do that, their heartache and misery is just increased in an unbelievable level.
Sorry, what the county had cited was government records that by their nature must be confidential in order for the government to avoid the frustration of a legitimate government function. There is case law that talks about and supports not providing reports that are unredacted to help protect the privacy interests of the individuals contained therein. And I would just argue, Your Honor, that they are potential witnesses, and disclosing these records to them would, if they were to review them and review the other evidence that is otherwise in that investigation, would naturally taint whatever potential testimony you would have and any potential criminal prosecution for that particular case.
In the end, the judge ruled that the Hawaii County Police Department must release the reports to the Carvalho family with some redactions, including witness social security numbers, phone numbers, and addresses. The documents must be turned over to the family's attorney in a week. We'll have much more on this story on air and online. New at noon, NOAA forecasters today released their rainfall outlook for Hawaii's wet season, which runs from October to April. Here's some of what they had to say.
The outlook for the wet season, October through next April, NOAA's Climate Prediction Center has indicated that we've had a La Nina throughout all of 2022, and they're expecting that La Nina to continue into spring of 2023. So looking at the consensus of the climate models, the models favor wetter than average, above average precipitation in the large scale across the region around the Hawaiian Islands. If this sounds familiar, it's very similar condition to last year. This is actually, we're going to potentially our third year in a row of La Nina conditions during the wet season. This has only happened twice before since 1950, and so it's a pretty unusual situation. So unfortunately for areas that are in significant drought right now in Maui County and the Big Island, there's a chance that this drought can actually persist through the coming wet season. There's a better likelihood of drought recovery in the west half of the states of Kauai and Oahu have a better chance of seeing a full recovery from drought conditions.
We'll have more on what this means for the state coming up on later editions of Hawaii News Now. Meanwhile, the state land department says the Kalalau Trail on Kauai's North Shore is closed today due to flooding and high stream levels. Officials will continue to monitor the situation and reassess conditions before reopening the trail.
A Hawaii Baptist Academy student was struck by a vehicle around 7:15 this morning just before school was about to start. EMS now says the student was 14 and was given advanced life-saving treatment, including spinal immobilization. Injuries were reported to his head, torso, and arms. He was listed in serious condition. The crash happened near the intersection where Wiley Street loops onto Pali Highway. An investigation is ongoing. An airline worker was apparently pinned by a luggage train earlier this morning at the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport. First responders tell us a 49-year-old woman was hurt. She was taken to the hospital in serious condition with a lower leg injury due to a crush-type event. We're told the airport staff was able to free her before EMS transported her. State transportation officials tell us that the luggage train may have been on an incline and rolled back into the employee.
Now to the latest on the Navy's broken water mains. Repairs are still days away from completion, but there's welcome news for parents. Today, Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam reopened Child Development Centers, also called CDCs, but the base commander says this does not mean things are back to normal.
So I've got a little concern that since I've opened up the CDCs, then people may think that we're back to normal and their behavior may change in terms of conserving water. So I can't stress enough how important it is, if we want to keep these CDCs open for the rest of the week, that we all do our due diligence in conserving water, telework, stay at home. If there's something you can put off to next week, please put off to next week.
Officials say if there's too much demand on the water lines, it could lead to even more line breaks, delaying the entire process even more. The big 36-inch water main in Waiau could be repaired by Tuesday, potentially sooner. The boil water advisory is still in effect for the Navy, even though the Army has lifted theirs for housing on Aliamanu Military Reservation and Red Hill. The Navy will have another press conference this afternoon at 12:30. We'll be streaming it on our H&N digital platforms.
Newly released video of police arresting voters in Florida is causing quite a stir. A handful of convicted felons were charged with voter fraud in August, but they say they had permission to register to vote even though they were not eligible under state law. Ed O'Keefe has the story.
Some voter fraud, voter stuff.
In footage obtained by CBS News on August 18th, police showed up at the Tampa home of Tony Patterson, a registered sex offender who was told he was under arrest for voter fraud.
Voter fraud? What is voter fraud? Voting when you're not supposed to, sir.
Put your hands behind your back, please.
That same day, Ramona Oliver, who served 18 years on a second-degree murder charge, was arrested for voting illegally in 2020, even though she'd received a voter ID card from the state.
I'm like, voter fraud? I voted, but I ain't commit no fraud.
Patterson, Oliver, and 18 others were accused of violating a 2018 state law that allows most former felons to vote after they complete their sentences. But that law excludes convicts like Patterson and Oliver who were convicted of a felony sex offense or murder. Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis touted the arrests that same day.
They are disqualified from voting because they've been convicted of either murder or sexual assault.
More than 11 million votes were cast in Florida in the 2020 election when some of those arrested allegedly illegally voted. In the videos, first obtained by the Tampa Bay Times, Patterson tells a police officer he was misled.
Voter fraud. Let's walk over to my car, okay?
Y'all doing this now and this happened years ago?
I don't know.
Voting rights advocates say it's a game of gotcha.
When people get a voter ID card from their government, what else are they going to presume except that they're eligible to vote?
Good evening.
In a debate Tuesday night between Florida's U.S. Senate candidates, these specific arrests didn't come up, but the candidates did spawn over voting rights.
Florida has very good election laws, and the states that don't have very good election laws are the states that actually have gone in the opposite direction of weakening security for the ballot.
Florida has an election law police force, and if the laws are so wonderful, what's the need for that?
Republican Senator Marco Rubio and Democrat Val Demings, who you saw there, are locked in a close and expensive fight for that Senate seat. Aides to Governor DeSantis, who's also running for re-election this year against Democrat Charlie Crist, didn't return requests for comment from CBS News on the concerns that some of these former felons may have been misled or confused by state law. Ed O'Keefe, CBS News, Washington.
Governor Ige says he has a new sense of urgency as he heads into his final weeks in office. A new governor will be sworn in at noon on November 5th. Mahealani Richardson has more on Ige's to-do list.
We are racing to the finish.
In a one-on-one interview at Washington Place, Governor Ige told Hawaii News Now he's got a lot to get done in the next 7 weeks.
It seems like every week it accelerates faster and faster and faster to December 5th.
In the latest controversy, Ige is trying to get an agreement on a traditional construction model for a $350 million stadium in Halava instead of a private-public partnership.
The University of Hawaii needs to have a commitment of a stadium so that we can maintain the Division I status.
His administration is trying to finalize a proposed agreement on a $35 million tourism marketing contract between HVCB and the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement.
We are wanting to make sure that we can execute and award a contract in a way that's consistent with the law.
Both projects could have impacts in Hawaii for years to come.
Why is your administration in such a rush to get those two projects finished when the next governor could take it over?
We are certainly committed to working every day until December 5th to serve the people and the public.
His administration needs to finish releasing the $300 rebate checks, which were delayed because of supply chain issues. And he's working on raises for nearly 9,000 veteran teachers. Payments are expected next month.
Making sure that we can pay teachers what they really deserve.
In an effort to tackle high gas prices, President Biden announced a plan to sell 15 million barrels of crude oil from the nation's strategic petroleum reserve.
With my announcement today, we're going to continue to stabilize markets and decrease the prices at a time when the actions of other countries have caused such volatility. And I've told my team behind me here to be prepared to look for further releases in the months ahead if needed. We're calling it a ready and release plan. This allows us to move quickly to prevent oil price spikes and respond to international events.
The announcement completes the release of 180 million barrels authorized by Biden in March. One of the biggest factors driving up gas prices everywhere is Russia's war on Ukraine. And that pain at the pump is especially bad here as we pay nearly $1.40 more than the national average. Casey Lund takes a deeper look at this price gap.
Yeah, well, things could be worse. You could be paying closer to $6 a gallon in the state of California. Here in Hawaii, that state average about $5.22 a gallon. Things could be better. You could be paying around $3.30 a gallon in the state of Texas. We have some tips for you on ways you can maximize your fuel efficiency in just a moment, but we reached out to Doug Shoup of AAA Hawaii about why we still are paying so much here in the Aloha State.
Hawaii is a bit different. I mean, there are a couple of local refineries that provide product, but then also there are a lot of imports that come from other places like Alaska, like Asia, the Caribbean, and South America. And so, of course, it takes a longer time to get those imports to the Hawaiian Islands.
Well, that's kind of common sense, right? Hawaii has always paid more than the national average for just about everything because it simply costs more to get things here. But ever since Russia invaded the Ukraine back in February, the global economic instability has caused oil prices to soar. Add to that, inflation. Regardless of the reason, most drivers in Hawaii are feeling it in a major way.
I mean, I used to make daily trips or at least a few times a week out to the North Shore with my son, you know, go hang out and check out stuff and see a few friends. I've had to cut that out.
I have another vehicle, so I kind of go back and forth to, you know, try to even it. But even that vehicle takes like $100. You know what I mean? So no matter what, I'm going to be spending a lot of money on gas.
AAA has some money-saving tips. First, keep up on your scheduled maintenance, especially making sure your tires are properly inflated. Remove unneeded bulky items from your car. Park in the shade. You won't have to use your AC as much when you get back in the car, and that'll burn less fuel. And avoid accelerating rapidly. AAA tells us if drivers would simply reduce their highway speeds by 5 to 10 miles per hour, they can increase their fuel economy by up to 14%. Today, President Biden announced the release of 15 million more barrels from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve. It'll be hard to say when or if that will really affect prices nationwide or here in Hawaii. But a shout out to our viewer in Kahului, Maui, who was able to find a gallon of gas for $4.09. Compare that to $4.99 here at this Hele in Kalihi behind me. Reporting in Kalihi, I'm Casey Lund. For now, we'll send things back to you.
Thank you so much, Case. Dylan, what do you say we take a trip back home to our home island
Let's
of
do it.
Kauai. We're both homesick. Look how beautiful it is right there
Hella
on
onto
the
Kauai.
garden aisle.
Yes.
Let's check in with Billy V for what's in store in our weather.
We're tracking this frontal system that's coming through the islands. It's going to, right now, it's over the islands of Niihau and Kauai. But as I track towards Oahu, let's go ahead and put this in motion. You can see that the frontal system gets to to Oahu sometime this afternoon. Starts maybe about 2 o'clock with the prefrontal moisture. Then once we get to 4, 5, 6 o'clock, that's when we'll have moisture over both of the islands. You'll notice that we've got the winds from the north. But it stalls out, maybe a little bit from Molokai, but here's where it kind of holds. And that rain sticks around as we go into tomorrow and into Friday. Friday, we start to see Hawaii Island and Maui finally getting some moisture, and then the trade winds will return. So once again, it's going to be today, tomorrow, and Friday that we'll see this moisture. Timeline, once again, 90% chance of rain for Kauai, Oahu this afternoon, Maui this evening.
With the holiday travel season upon us, the travel website Expedia is out with its annual air travel hacks report. Michael George has details on ways to save.
After a summer of expensive flights, many Americans are wondering just how much heading home for the holidays will cost. The travel site Hopper reports Thanksgiving and Christmas airfares will be their highest in 5 years.
I think we're at a point in our lives where the price does have an effect on it, but we still travel.
But there are ways to save. Expedia revealed its annual air travel hacks report. Among the tips, the best day to fly for Thanksgiving is the Friday before or the day of. For Christmas, it's the weekend before.
Christmas this year falls on a Sunday, so if you leave on the Friday before Christmas, you're not going to be in good shape at all.
CBS News senior travel advisor Peter Greenberg says he often flies on Thanksgiving morning.
Get there in time to carve the turkey. And then while everybody's stuck at the mall on Friday, on Black Friday, you go home on Friday, you can go bowling on that plane. There's nobody on that plane.
That makes sense.
Right?
Another tip from Expedia, buy your airfare on Sundays. That will save you about 5% on domestic flights and 15% on international flights.
Business travel is starting to come back. Fares will stabilize on Sunday. You'll get the lowest deals then.
To avoid delays and cancellations, you want to book a flight earlier in the day. According to Expedia, a flight that leaves after 3 in the afternoon is 50% more likely to be canceled. And lastly, with the exceptions of holiday travel, Expedia says book domestic flights 1 month out and international flights 6 months out to get the best deals. Michael George, CBS News, LaGuardia Airport, New York.
Some good tips there, Dylan.
Yeah, indeed.
Let's see what the internet's talking about.
Let's see, what do we have up here first? We have George Clooney and Julia Roberts reuniting for their new romantic comedy Tickets to Paradise in theaters Friday. Entertainment Tonight sat down with the stars, and Kevin Frazier joins us now with that story.
Can't wait till we punch our ticket to paradise and come to see you. But George and Julia, well, this is their 5th movie together. So when we met up with the old friends, there was plenty to kiss and tell.
Is kissing each other really ridiculous? I preferred kissing you when you didn't have a beard.
I have a beard now because I shave in the morning and it grows by the afternoon.
He's so manly.
Yeah,
He's such a brute.
Yeah, the testosterone is shocking.
It is.
Yeah, you should see my back. Oh yeah, all hair. You guys, the guy's back, pretty impressive, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, come on.
You gotta be kidding me.
In the movie, George and Julia are a divorced couple trying to stop their daughter's wedding and maybe rekindle their old romance. But as for George's real love life...
For so long, people thought you were going to be a bachelor forever.
People thought. I thought.
You thought. I didn't think. You knew always that he would find the one? He has too much heart and soul of like just truth and goodness to not find the one.
So that was nice of you.
It's true. It's early.
I know.
In my mind, the dance scene, I had a different version of how I saw you all grooving. I know you can dance. I don't like to brag.
You shouldn't, really. I've seen her dance too.
What are you really like on the dance floor? Unstoppable.
Oh, we're gonna get on all those shows, dancing with the schmucks.
Hey, make sure you tune into ET tonight for Friends star Matthew Perry's shocking stories of drug abuse, how he burst his colon and spent 2 weeks in a coma. For Entertainment Tonight, I'm Kevin Frazier.
Also, take a look at this. Some really cool, extremely rare nickels sold at auction for $4.2 million.
Wow.
I love a good auction story. Ashley knows. I've been keeping an eye on the auctions ever since the Golden Girls Betty White auction. These super cool coins, again, they sold for $4.2 million. We're going to look into a little bit more of the history behind this, but those recently sold at auction for such a hefty price tag there.
Those nickels, right?
Yes.
And celebs are going bonkers over lattes created by a certain barista. Jeannie Moose has the story.
When actress Tilda Swinton swooned,
I've got
over a latte and scurried to get her camera, you knew there had to be something special inside that cup. It was Tilda herself.
Yeah, who doesn't want a latte with their face in it, you know?
Think of Brian Leonard as Toronto's latte artist to the stars.
God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
From Lily Tomlin to Josh Brolin.
No way!
To Olivia Colman.
No way!
To Seth Rogen.
This is insane.
He's leaving them speechless.
Meryl Streep called me a genius, and it'll be on my tombstone probably.
Hillary Clinton said it too.
God, you're a genius!
Barista Brian uses a bamboo stir stick to apply food coloring to the foam. He can crank out latte art in 2 to 4 minutes, though many of his subjects, like Sydney Sweeney, don't want to drink the artwork.
I can't ruin this!
On the other hand, Tilda Swinton couldn't resist.
And it's delicious.
Sucking up her image, like Carly Simon, Barista Brian had a dream.
I had some dreams, they were clouds in my coffee.
But he dreamed of foam in his coffee.
You're so vain. You probably think this latte is about you.
His dream of being paid to perform latte art at film festivals and events has come true. He paints everything from the Foma Lisa to Matt Damon to Tom Hanks. And he has a signature line for everyone who praises him.
Thanks a latte.
Jeannie Moose, CNN.
Face in your latte in
New York.
You're so vain.
Very cute. I want one.
Yes.
Well, check this out, everybody.
Very cute here,
So,
too.
the Hawaii Firefighters calendar is not taking off this year because they didn't get enough applicants, but
Shocking.
there are plenty of Aussie firemen ready to help us with our schedules. So this is the 30th anniversary of the Australian Firefighters calendar, and obviously it's sizzling hot in the Southern Hemisphere right now. This year's theme is denim jeans and rescue animals.
Good eye, mates.
And the funds from the calendar sales support medical research and wildlife.
How lovely. Look, even the animals are happy to get in on the action. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that the Hawaii calendar didn't take place. I mean, we got a lot of local talent here. We got some models on the force.
We do, but I kind of get it too, because, you know, Hawaii people, they're like more modest.
A little bit
you
more shy,
know?
yeah. What you think? Men of H&N calendar? No, thank you guys. With that, we're going to leave you folks for now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is now my last day here. Jonathan is back tomorrow alongside Ashley Nagaoka. Aloha.